Welcome to the SmackDown Film Buffs. It's Straight Shooter, and welcome to another week of episodes of How I See It. Today I have 5 for you, and it looks like that's probably going to be the way it's going to work for a little while, because movies are coming out sparingly, and I'll probably see a movie and I might not see another movie for a little while, and I'll just build up reviews until I've got a bunch to do and come in and shoot and then edit and release them. So it's Sunday, and because I work a full-time job, I'll probably be editing the videos as I go this week, so maybe one will come out a day, maybe 2 will come out one day or something like that, but they'll come out by the end of this week. But after I shoot today, I'm just going to take it easy, relax, and prepare for the week. So you see the title, and obviously this movie was very much anticipated. I was anticipating it. My review will have spoilers, and I'm at Team Sound Studios as I always am. My review today will be of Godzilla vs. Kong. The new MonsterVerse, which consists of Godzilla and King Kong so far, is Warner Brothers' way of trying to compete with Marvel, compete with DC, and trying to bring this whole cinematic universe thing to life. They were somewhat successful with Godzilla. The 2014's Godzilla came out. I liked that movie. It wasn't great. Kong Skull Island came out, which was basically like a reboot because you had Peter Jackson's version. Actually, I really liked a lot. Kong Skull Island was pretty much like their way of incorporating him into the universe so that he could exist with Godzilla and the other kaiju. Skull Island was actually enjoyable. I don't know if you saw my review of Godzilla King of the Monsters. I just didn't enjoy that one. And if you watch that review, you'll understand why, but I'll probably touch upon some of the comparisons in this review to Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, the movie stars Millie Bobby Brown, who's back from Godzilla King of the Monsters. You also have Alexander Skarsgård, Julian Dennison from, and I remember him from Deadpool 2, obviously. And a surprising cast member is Zhang Ziyi, who I'm a big fan of from Crouching Tiger. And then you have Kyle Chandler, who, interestingly enough, is the only person in the cast to have starred in not just the new MonsterVerse, but also Peter Jackson's King Kong movie. He doesn't play all that an important character in this movie, but it's worth noting, you know. The plot isn't going to matter as much as for the fact that you're here to see Godzilla and Kong go at it. King Kong is still on Skull Island, but he's being monitored. He's in this big biodome or whatever. We find out that he's signing with this little girl. And then they find out that Godzilla is going around and drawing things around a certain area. And they're wondering what's happening. So they recruit Kong. He leaves Skull Island on a boat, is going toward where they think Godzilla is. Godzilla shows up and they fight. Now, the reason that Godzilla looks like an antagonist in this movie, and the reason why he's destroying things, is because we find out later that they're actually building a mechanical Godzilla. And they're using the skull of Ghidorah be like a chip or something to power the AI in Mechagodzilla. That's why Godzilla is upset, because they're messing with the balance of nature and all that stuff. And then there's this one point where they travel to the core of the earth, and that's going to be Godzilla's new realm, where he's going to live. Godzilla will exist, in the oceans, in the earth, on the surface, and then Godzilla is going to live in this hollow earth area. But then, of course, the fighting continues. Godzilla and Kong have a final battle where it looks like Godzilla won, and Godzilla kind of steps on him and says, I won, bitch. And Kong's like, oh. But then after that happens, Mechagodzilla gets loose, it becomes sentient and starts destroying Hong Kong. So that's when Godzilla and King Kong team up, and Kong is actually the one to finish off Mechagodzilla, which is kind of cathartic because he just lost the fight against Godzilla. But then, they go their separate ways. He goes to Hollow Earth, Godzilla disappears in the ocean, and things are like kind of right again. Here's the thing about this movie. What I really like about it is the fighting scenes. In comparison to Godzilla King of the Monsters, I really didn't like when Godzilla was going off against the other kaiju, because it kept like cutting away to what the humans were doing and people running and stuff like that, and you'd have a second or two of punching from Godzilla and then all the other chaos going on around them, which I didn't really care about. So in this one, they were smart. They kept the action when Godzilla and Kong were fighting, they kept it glued onto them. The cameras were on them or on their CGI counterparts. So it was good to see that they really went for a knockdown, drag out fight between Godzilla and Kong, which is what I came for. And they delivered. When they were fighting, it was really good. Where the movie fell flat is what was going on with the plot. Like, there was this one plot where Millie Bobby Brown and Julie Dennison's characters found the lab where Mechagodzilla was being built. They're like, this is why Godzilla is upset and angry. Here's the thing. King Kong was in this dome being monitored with cameras, all the time. And they didn't find out until after, he was on the boat till they left, that was communicating via sign language with this little girl. That whole time they were monitoring her in, they never noticed that. They never noticed him communicating with the girl before. And there were other things that didn't make sense, okay, this hollow earth, right? When you see it, it's like another environment. Where do the trees come from? Where does sunlight come from? Where does breathable oxygen come from? It just didn't make sense. If you travel to the core of the earth, none of that would exist. It's pretty much scientifically impossible, but I guess you have to suspend disbelief for the fact that it's fiction. And the other thing about Godzilla, they made him kind of overpowered, even within the universe that they already established. Because in 2014's Godzilla and in King of the Monsters, he was fearsome, he was tough, he was, someone you didn't want to mess with, of course. But they amped that up 10 times in this movie. They made him seem, bigger even, he would use his atomic breath sparingly in the other two movies. In this one, it's whenever Kong is there, it's kind of he opens his mouth and, the atomic breath is constantly coming out. They made him pretty much devoid of emotion or anything like that in the first two. But in this one, it seems he was pissed off, and when he was beating Kong, he had this evil smile, and you're where does that come from? When did Godzilla all of a sudden become maniacal or something like that? And you find, and of course it's because of what the humans are doing, but that has nothing to do with Kong. What beef does he have against Kong other than Kong is just trying to stop it? So there were things like that just didn't kind of make sense. And like I said, they made him overpowered. I could have seen it gone either way if they stuck with how Godzilla was in Godzilla and King of the Monsters and how King Kong was in Kong Skull Island. But, they kind of made it unevenly matched to the point where, he said, okay, no one else could have really won except for Godzilla. So I would have kind of liked to see a bit more fairness and a bit more back and forth as far as the balance of the scales. But I guess they went with how they went with. but it was still cool to see them fighting. It was, everything that I was hoping for when it came to the actual fight scenes. The movie was good, and I would say it's definitely probably best of the Godzilla movies so far since 2014. Of course, it could have been better. Saying all that, I'm going to give the movie a B-. So yeah, I recommend seeing it because, like I said, I think it's the best of the Godzilla movies of the current since 2014, leading up to this movie. Is it as good or better than Skull Island? I think Skull Island is actually a little bit better than this movie, only because you cared more about the human characters and they were more compelling. And even though the scenes between Kong and them and him fighting the creatures that are on Skull Island, that was really cool. But the other things that were going on besides Kong were actually interesting. In this movie, the only thing interesting really was the fights between Godzilla and Kong. That's how I see it. Stay tuned, because I don't know when they'll all be released. Outside of, they'll be released this week, but I have 4 more coming for you. Sit tight.